I welcome you all to this lecture session on tourism. And in this session, we are going to talk about passport. Well, what is a passport? A passport is an essential travel document for those traveling abroad. It certifies the identity and nationality of its holder for the purpose of international travel and issued by the national government. Without a passport, you cannot travel out of your country. In this session, we will discuss what is a passport, the history and evolution of passport over the years, types of passport and standards followed worldwide, other travel documents in passport, booklet form and international travel without passports, passport in India.
What is a passport? A passport is a document issued by a national government which certifies the identity and nationality of its holder for the purpose of international travel. The elements of identity are name, date of birth, sex, and place of birth. A passport does not of itself entitle the passport holder entry into another country, nor to consular protection while abroad, or any other privileges. It does, however, normally entitle the passport holder to return to the country that issued the passport. Rights to consular protection arise from international agreements, and the right to return arises from the laws of the issuing country. How did the name passport come into being? It is considered unlikely that the term passport is derived from seaports, but rather from a medieval document required to pass through the gate, port, of a city wall or to pass through a territory. History of passport. If we go back in time to trace the history of passports, one of the earliest known references to what served the major role of a passport is found in the Hebrew Bible. In Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 7, 9, attributed to the time of the Persian Empire in about 450 BC, it is said that Nehemiah, an official serving King Artaxerxes I of Persia, asked leave to travel to Judea, and the king granted leave and gave him a letter to the governors beyond the river, requesting safe passage for him as he traveled through their lands. In the medieval Islamic Caliphate, a form of passport was used in the form of a bara, a receipt for taxes paid. Only citizens who paid their zakah for Muslims or jizya for non-Muslims taxes were permitted to travel to different regions of the Caliphate. Thus, the bara receipt was a traveler's basic passport. In medieval Europe, such documents were issued to travelers by local authorities and generally contained a list of towns and cities into which a document holder was permitted to pass. On the whole, documents were not required for travel to seaports, which were considered open trading points, but documents were required to travel inland from seaports. King Henry V of England is credited with having invented what some consider the first true passport, notwithstanding the earlier example cited as a means of helping his subjects prove who they were in foreign lands. The rapid expansion of rail travel and wealth in Europe from the mid-19th century led to a unique dissolution of the passport system for 30-odd years before World War I. The speed of trains, as well as the number of passengers that crossed many borders, made enforcement of passport laws difficult. The general reaction was the relaxation of passport documents. In the later part of the 19th century and up to World War I, passports were not required, on the whole, for travel within Europe, and crossing a border was straightforward. Consequently, comparatively few people had passports. The Ottoman Empire and the Russian Empire maintained passport requirements for international travel, in addition to an international passport system to control travel within their borders. Most countries issued passports, but countries that demanded travelers have a passport were considered backwards. Early passports included a description of the passport holder. Photographs began to be attached to passports in the early decades of the 20th century, when photography became widespread. During World War I, European governments introduced border passport requirements for security reasons, to keep out spies, and to control the emigration of citizens with useful skills, retaining potential manpower. These controls remained in place after the war and became standard procedure, though not without controversy. British tourists of the 1920s complained especially about attached photographs and physical descriptions, which they considered led to a nasty dehumanization. In 1920, the League of Nations held a conference on passports and through tickets. Passport guidelines and a general booklet design resulted from the conference, which was followed up by conferences in 1926 and 1927. The United Nations held a travel conference in 1963, but passport guidelines did not result from it. Passport standardization came about in 1980 under the auspices of the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO. You should also remember that in most countries, passport is a government property and may be limited or revoked at any time, subject to judicial review. Only one passport is given to each national. When passport holders apply for a new passport, commonly due to expiration of an old passport or lack of blank pages, they may be required to surrender the old passport for invalidation. In some circumstances, an expired passport is not required to be surrendered or invalidated. For example, if it contains an unexpired visa. Some countries allow, under specified circumstances, the holding of more than one passport by a citizen. One circumstance is the disqualifying stamp in a passport, such as a stamp which shows travel to a particular country, and the citizen intends travel to a country which does not recognize that country. Another circumstance is frequent international travel, including to countries with protracted visa application process. Awaiting a visa for a particular country, a person with two passports may travel to other countries with the second passport. Some countries issue restricted passports, valid only for travel to one or more neighboring countries. A person may hold at the same time a restricted passport for frequent travels to neighboring countries and an ordinary international passport for travels to other countries. Limitations on passport use. Most countries accept passports of other countries as valid for international travel and valid for entry. There are exceptions, such as when a country does not recognize the passport issuing country as a sovereign state. Likewise, the passport issuing country may also stamp restrictions on the passports of its citizens not to go to certain countries due to poor or non-existent foreign relations or security or health risks. Types of passport and worldwide standards followed. The International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, issues passport standards on the size, format, design, language, and information contained. These are treated as recommendations to national governments. Size. The size of passports normally comply with ISO IEC 7810 ID3 standard, which specifies a size of 125 into 88 mm, 4.921 into 3.465 inches. This size is the B7 format. Format. Standard passport format. The standard passport format includes the name of the issuing country on a passport cover, a national symbol, a description of the document, example passport, official passport, diplomatic passport, and, if the passport is biometric, the biometric passport symbol. Inside there is a title page, also naming the country. This is followed by a data page, on which there is information about the bearer and the issuing authority. Although passports of some European Union member states provide that information on the inside back cover, there are blank pages available for foreign countries to affix visas and to stamp for entries and exit. Passports have numerical or alphanumerical designators, serial number, assigned by the issuing authority. Machine-readable passport standards. Standards for machine-readable passports have also been issued by the ICAO, with an area set aside where most of the information written as text is also printed in a manner suitable for optical character recognition. E-passport standards. To conform to ICAO standards, a biometric passport has an embedded contactless smart card, which contains data about the passport holder, a photograph in digital format, and data about the passport itself. Many countries now issue biometric passports. The objectives for the biometric passports are to speed up clearance through immigration and the prevention of identity fraud. These reasons are disputed by privacy advocates. Types. A rough standardization exists in types of passports throughout the world, although passport types, number of pages, and definitions can vary by country. Full passports. Ordinary passport, tourist passport, regular passport, passport issued to citizens and other nationals, and generally the most issued type of passport. Sometimes it is possible to have children registered within the ordinary passport of the parent, rendering the passport functionally equal to a family passport. Official passport, service passport, also special passport, issued to government employees for work-related travel and to accompanying dependents. Diplomatic passport, issued to diplomats and other government officials for work-related international travel and to accompanying dependents. In exceptional circumstances, a diplomatic passport is given to a foreign citizen with no passport of his own, such as an exiled VIP who lives by invitation in a foreign country. Emergency passport, temporary passport, issued to persons whose passports were lost or stolen and who do not have time to obtain replacement passports. Sometimes, laissez-passer are used for this purpose. Collective passport, issued to defined groups for travel together to particular destinations, such as a group of school children on a school trip to a specified country. Family passport, issued to family members, father, mother, son, and daughter. There is one passport holder. The passport holder may travel alone or with one or more other family members. A family member who is not the passport holder cannot use the passport for travel unless accompanied by the passport holder. Nearly every country once issued family passports, but most no longer do so. Some countries still allow inserting names of underage children into their parents' passports instead of issuing them separate passports. For example, a Uruguayan passport still has 2 photo pages on which there can be a listing of up to 6 children, each with their thumbprint and details. Introduction of biometric passports with chips, which can only contain biometrics of one person, has made the practice largely obsolete. Therefore, the move is to issuing each child its own passport. In recent years, concerns over international child abduction, including abduction by a parent, have led some countries to require both parents to sign a passport application. Languages. An international conference on passports and through tickets held by the League of Nations in 1920 recommended that passports be issued in French, historically the language of diplomacy, and one other language. Nowadays, the ICAO recommends that passports be issued in English and French, or in the national language of the issuing country, and in either English or French. Indian passports are in Hindi and English. Passports issued by member states of the European Union bear all of the official languages of the EU. The United States passport is trilingual, English, French, and Spanish, but the cover and instructions pages are only printed in English. New Zealand passports are in English and Maori. Swiss passports are in 5 languages: German, French, Italian, Romansh, and English. Other travel documents in passport booklet form. Apart from the passports issued by the national government, sometimes United Nations UN or national governments themselves issue a travel document instead of a passport based on the person traveling or the purpose. These are laissez-passer. These are issued by national governments as emergency passports or for travel on humanitarian grounds. Laissez-passer are also issued by international organizations, most notably the UN, to their officers and employees for official travel. Certificate of Identity, Alien's Passport, a document issued under certain circumstances, such as statelessness, to non-citizen residents. Refugee Travel Document, document issued to a refugee by the state in which she or he normally resides, allowing him or her to travel outside that state and to return there. Refugees are unlikely to be able to obtain passports from their state of nationality, from which they have sought asylum, and therefore need travel documents so that they might engage in international travel. Special passport, issued to Bangladeshis, that is valid for travel to India only. Internal passport, issued by some countries as an identity document to control migration within a country. Camouflage and fantasy passport. A camouflage passport is a document that appears to be a regular passport but is actually in the name of a country that no longer exists, never existed, or the previous name of a country that has changed its name. A fantasy passport is likewise a document not issued by a recognized government and invalid for legitimate travel. Fantasy passports are distinguished from camouflage passports in that they are issued by an actual existent group, organization, or tribe. International travel without passports. International travel is possible without passports in some circumstances, depending on the law of the country. A document stating the citizenship, like a national identity card, is usually needed anyway. Passports are not needed by citizens of India and Nepal to travel to each other's country, but some identification is required for border crossing. Only Indians do not require passports for traveling in Bhutan, while Bhutanese have to travel with their citizenship identity cards. Similarly, many other countries too form a consortium and have such reciprocal arrangements. Indian passport. The Indian passport is issued to citizens of India. It enables the bearer to travel internationally and serves as proof of Indian citizenship. The Consular Passport and Visa (CPV) division of the Ministry of External Affairs, functioning as the central passport organization, is responsible for issuance of Indian passports to all eligible Indian citizens. As of 2012, passports are issued from 37 passport offices across the country and 178 Indian embassies and consulates abroad. Types of passports. Regular passports. Deep blue, black cover. Issued for ordinary travel, such as vacations and business trips. 36 or 60 pages. Diplomatic passport. Maroon cover. Issued to Indian diplomats, top-ranking government officials and diplomatic couriers. Official passport, white cover, issued to individuals representing the Indian government on official business. In addition, select passport offices in India as well as overseas missions are authorized to issue regular Indo-Bangladesh passports and Indo-Sri Lankan passports to Indian nationals resident in West Bengal, the northeastern states, Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry. These two passports permit travel to Bangladesh and Sri Lanka only and are not valid for travel to other foreign countries. Physical appearance. Indian passports have a deep blue-black cover with the emblem of India emblazoned in the center of the front cover. The word passport inscribed above the emblem in Hindi and English and Republic of India inscribed below the emblem. The standard passport contains 36 pages, but frequent travelers can opt for 60 pages as noted above. The textual portions of Indian passport are printed in both Hindi and English. Passport holder identity. Indian passports have identity information printed on both front and back cover ends. Both of these pages are laminated to prevent modification. The opening cover end contains the following information: photo of passport holder, signature of the passport holder, type P, stands for personal, country code IND, passport number, surname, given names, nationality Indian, sex, date of birth DD MM YYYY, place of birth, place of issue, date of issue DD MM YYYY, date of expiry DD MM YYYY. The information page ends with the machine readable passport zone. The closing end contains the following information: name of father, legal guardian, name of mother, name of spouse, address, old passport number with date and place of issue, file number. Passport note. The Indian passports contain a note. These are to request and require in the name of the President of the Republic of India all those whom it may concern, to allow the bearer to pass freely without let or hindrance, and to afford him or her every assistance and protection of which he or she may stand in need, by order of the President of the Republic of India. The note-bearing page is typically stamped and signed by the issuing authority in the name of the President of Republic of India. In between these details, many blank pages are available for stamping visas or for immigration officials of many countries to stamp entry and exit stamps. Immigration check. Indian passport holders are classified as either ECNR, immigration check not required, or ECR, immigration check required. ECR passports need a clearance called an immigration check from the Government of India's Protector of Immigrants when going to select countries on a work visa. This is to prevent the exploitation of Indian workers, especially the unskilled and less educated, when going abroad, particularly to Middle Eastern countries. However, ECR passport holders traveling with a tourist visa do not need a clearance. This is known as an immigration check suspension. ECNR status passports are granted to people with certain qualifications. Please refer to the website www.passport.gov.in for details on this. In accordance with a ruling by the Ministry of External Affairs, passports issued from 2007 onwards do not have the ECNR stamp affixed. Instead, a blank page 2 of the passport is deemed to have been ECNR endorsed. As a result, only ECR stamps are now affixed to Indian passports. For passports issued before January 2007, no notation in the passport means ECR. For passports issued in or after January 2007, no notation in the passport means ECNR. If immigration check is required, there will be an endorsement in the passport regarding ECR. E-passport, biometric passport. India has recently initiated the first phase of biometric e-passport for diplomatic passport holders in India and abroad. It contains a security chip with all personal data and digital images. It will first need to be skimmed through a reader, after which it will generate an access code, which then unlocks the chip for reader access. New passport issuance system. In September 2007, the Indian Union Cabinet approved a new passport issuance system under a project called Passport Seva Project. As per the project, front-end activities of passport issuance, dispatch of passports, online linking with police, central printing unit for centralized printing of passports will be put in place. The new system is aimed at to deliver passport services to citizens in a timely, transparent, more accessible, reliable manner and in a comfortable environment through streamlined processes and committed, trained and motivated workforce for passport issuance. How to apply for a passport? Passport can be applied for in the following ways: by submitting the filled-in application form along with proof of residence, date of birth, change of name, documents for ECNR, etc., along with requisite fees, online registration and appointment. Through this mode, applicants can submit their application online at www.passportindia.gov.in and get prior appointments for personal appearance with the required documents, walk-in appointments with online registration. In order to facilitate submission of passport applications, some types of services such as Tatkal and issuance of police clearance certificates and some categories of applicants such as senior citizens, minors and differently abled persons are allowed to submit their duly registered online applications as walk-in applications. Manual submission of applications. In order to address rising demand for passport services, passport offices may also allow manual submission of applications at passport offices and district passport cells, DPCs. For manual submission of passport application form, an applicant is required to visit passport office or DPCs in person with duly filled-in passport application form, a complete set of self-attested copy of requisite documents and originals thereof, along with a recent color photograph and the requisite fees. However, applicants should refer to any advisory issued by the concerned passport offices from time to time at the website www.passport.gov.in. All self-attested copies of certificates, documents would be checked against originals at the passport office at the time of submission of application. The normal time taken for issuance of a passport is 5 to 6 weeks. However, in case of an emergency, you can apply for a fresh or duplicate passport under the Tatkal scheme. This allows passports to be issued on payment of additional fee over and above the normal passport application fee. The Tatkal scheme would only be applicable in cases where either the police verification report is not required, minors less than 15 years of age, or where a passport can be issued on post-police verification basis, duplicate passport, reissue of passport without change in address, government servants with NOC and their spouses, and applications with verification certificates.
Well, after listening to this lecture on passport, you would have understood what is a passport, the history and evolution of passport over the years, types of passport and the standards followed worldwide, and passport in India. This session is aimed at giving some basic information on passports in the Indian and international context. The passport rules and procedures may change from time to time depending on the government policies. So, we advise you to refer to the websites of Ministry of External Affairs and International Civil Aviation Organization for up-to-date details. Thank you.